You have to try. You have to be willing to fail. You have to keep going. You have to, overcome lots of challenges and hurdles, some you expect and some that come out of left field that you never expected. And the only way to really be successful is to just stick with it and not give up and keep going, in spite of whatever may come your way.
This is The Entrepreneur Way with Neil Ball. Unlocking the secrets of successful entrepreneurs 7 days a week. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter at Neil D. Ball. Napoleon Hill said the power of the mastermind is the driving force. To discover how you can unlock the potential in your business using the power of a mastermind, go to mastermindunlimited.com. And now, here is your host, Neil Ball.
Hello, it's Neil Ball here. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Entrepreneur Way. The Entrepreneur Way is about the entrepreneur's journey, the vision, the mindset, the commitment, the sacrifice, failures and successes. I'm so excited to bring you our special guest today, Matt Remuzzi. But before I introduce you to him, I have a quote for you. And I'm probably going to say this person's name wrong. Abdul Karim Sarouche said, in order for answers to become clear, the questions have to be clear. The Entrepreneur Way asks the questions so we all get the insight, inspiration and ideas to apply in our businesses. Matt, welcome to the show. Are you ready to share your version of the Entrepreneur Way with us?
I am ready, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, Matt. Thank you for coming on the show. Matt Remuzzi is the owner and founder of Capforge.com and has a 16-year history of serial entrepreneurship, including starting, buying and selling over 25 businesses, both online and traditional. His most recent business is transforming the small business bookkeeping industry, one owner at a time, and doubling in sales every year. Matt, can you provide us with some more insight into your business and personal life to allow us to get to know more about what you do and who you are?
Certainly. So in my personal life, I'm 42. I live in California in San Diego. I have a wife and 2 kids. And I've been an entrepreneur, which I define for me as having not taken a paycheck from anyone else for the last 16 years. It was something I always knew that I wanted to do, but it just took me a long time to figure out how that was going to happen. And so I worked in a few different jobs, and I found I was poorly suited to be an employee because I always had ideas on how I would do things differently that my bosses very rarely wanted to hear. So I was not a great employee, and eventually I figured that I had to do my own thing. It was the only way I was ever going to be happy and sort of find peace in life. And so about 16 years ago, I went out on my own for the first time working as a business consultant, which I had been an employee doing prior to that and prior to getting out of the MBA program that I was in, Master's in Business. So my very first solo entrepreneurship effort was being a business plan consultant, and I was successful at it for a while, but the market kind of changed, and there were fewer and fewer people who were able to raise venture capital or willing to invest the money it costs to have a professionally written business plan. So from there, I bounced around for different ideas, many of them that didn't work out, either broke even or just were flat out failures. And also some things that were really pretty successful. I converted my business planning skill to become an online product. And that sold well for many, many years. And that actually was a really fun time because it was primarily passive income. It allowed me to do a lot of traveling. I've been to over 50 countries. I've climbed to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. I've been scuba diving in the Galapagos, all basically as a result of that online business that was primarily passive income. The mistake I made with that was I didn't pay enough attention to it. I kind of assumed that it was always going to be there for me. And as SEO rules changed and as competition came in, that business started to produce less and less income. And so I had to kind of scramble to come up with something else. I got into owning a restaurant for a while, which was good. I increased the sales and made good money out of it, but I found that wasn't something I really liked. And again, when I had a general manager running it, so it was partially passive, but every time the general manager would leave, I would have to scramble around again and try and rebuild it. And there wasn't a lot of future in it. And so finally I came around to what I'm doing now, which is small business accounting. And I started out of my spare bedroom doing it just myself, but always with the intention of growing it. And it's been a great ride. It's, we provide a fantastic service for our clients. We're continuously growing our client list. It's recurring revenue. And I'm able to build it to the point where it's not quite passive, but I'm able to train. I have employees, and I'm able to hand off more and more of what I do by training somebody else to do it, and then watching them and monitoring the stats. And so, I expect this to become a really tremendous business for me, and it hits all my high points. It gives me some freedom of time. It's great revenue. It's growing. And I feel good about what we do. At the end of the day, we've helped a lot of our clients improve their businesses, which is very satisfying. And I get to talk to entrepreneurs all the time, which is one of my favorite things to do. Mm-hmm. So it hits all the high points for me.
Yeah. So is Capf your small business accounting business?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you enjoy most about what you do, Matt?
Well, I think one of my favorite parts of the business is getting to talk to new clients and find out their entrepreneurial journey, how they came to be. A lot of them are people who kind of accidentally got into entrepreneurship. They didn't plan it. And others of them are very intentional about it. But I'm sort of an entrepreneurial junkie, so I really enjoy hearing how people got started and what these unique business ideas that they've come up with, and ways they make money and ways they add value in the world. And a lot of them are things I've never even heard of until I run into these people, and I can help them with their accounting, because under the covers, accounting is all pretty much the same. But I get to learn about these different businesses and meet these really inspiring people who are working hard to do cool things. And so to me, my favorite part is getting to meet these people.
Mm-hmm. And what is it that drives you?
I would really like to build a very big, successful business. I've had lots and lots of small businesses, but I've never built something from scratch that turned out to be really big. And I don't have an exact metric for what big is, but something with a fair number of employees and a fair number of clients and a nice amount of revenue coming in. And so I am really driving myself to see if I can do it, to see how big I can build this and how many clients I can serve and how many employees I can provide a living for. So right now, to me, the driver is growth. And every time we add to our business, I'm excited about it, and it motivates me to try even harder.
And when you're not driving to build your business, how do you relax?
Lately, what I've been doing a lot of is surfing. And the thing I love about surfing is it's when I'm surfing, there's nothing else on my mind. And there's not a lot of other times during the day when I can say that. But when I get out in the ocean and I'm in the waves and I'm just enjoying the sunlight and the water and riding the waves and getting that kind of good feeling from the sport, there's nothing else on my mind. And so to me, that is a great way to have a nice amount of downtime and fun at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So you're not doing any more mountain climbing, are you not?
I have not. Well, with kids now, it's gotten a little harder to get away. So a couple hours of surfing is about all I can manage these days. Money is nice, but to me, the experiences and the time to have those experiences is really what success is about. I would much rather have a bank full of memories than a bank full of millions of dollars that you never get to spend because you're working 70 or 80 hours a week and never have any time off and lost contact with your family and your friends. To me, the experience is really the metric of success that I'm shooting for.
Matt, do you have any entrepreneurial role models?
I do, and they're not names that you would know, but they're people that I've met along the way and they've become friends as well as mentors. And from them, I've learned, how to do business better, how to be a better manager, how to be a smarter marketer, how to prioritize my day better. So I have lots of entrepreneurial role models, but they're local business owners, and their businesses maybe are bigger than mine or have been around longer, but they're the people I go out and have breakfast with once a month and talk over my problems and share my experiences, and they're the ones that usually give me the best insight and the best answers to my questions.
Thank you for that. Matt, on the intro, you talked about some of the difficulties you had in setting up as an entrepreneur. So what I'd like to do is talk about some of those. So can you tell us what difficulties you had to overcome when you started your business?
Yeah, I think some of the difficulties arose from trying to do everything myself. And so, when you try and build your own website, but you don't really know a lot about building websites, you spend a lot of time and it still doesn't come out looking very good. And you're not sure if you really did it right or if you've connected it right. I spent a lot of time at one point trying to figure out why my email list wasn't growing, and it turned out I hadn't really connected it right. So I spent a lot of time messing around with stuff that if I had been a little bit smarter, I probably would have hired some people to help me with, and that would have gotten me off the ground a lot sooner. But I was still sort of in the mindset of I'm going to do everything myself, and being an entrepreneur somehow means being totally self-reliant. And as I've matured and had more experience, I think I've gotten a lot wiser about how to play to my own strengths and weaknesses and how to ask for help when I need it and delegate when I need to. But when I got started, I didn't get nearly as much help as I should have, and that would have made things go a lot smoother for me.
Mm-hmm. And did you have any doubts that delayed you starting your business?
Not in starting, but all along the way. Every time I think about starting something new, I always, second guess myself. Is this a good idea? Should I risk the money doing it? Is it going to work out? Is it a waste of time? So I think every time I consider new ventures, there are always doubts that run through my head, but I usually come back to answering myself with, there's very little to be lost other than maybe some money and some time. And as long as it's not going to be an insurmountable problem to lose that money or time, it's probably worth a shot. And even if it doesn't work out, I'll probably learn something from the experience. So I'd say, there's always doubts about things. Because it's uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen until you try it. But usually those are things that I can overcome. And usually with a little education or research and a little bit of just go ahead and try it, we can work through those doubts and figure it out. And not everything works. That's just the nature of entrepreneurship. But you try it and you learn and you move forward, and sooner or later something does work, and then you keep going from there.
Yeah, you've definitely got to be prepared to fail if you want to succeed. I think that's the thing with being an entrepreneur, isn't it?
Definitely.
And what mistakes did you make that slowed your journey?
Well, as I mentioned, I think I could have reached out for help a lot sooner. I think I tried to do a lot of things on my own. I made assumptions that had I talked to people about, I probably would have either avoided things altogether or at least done them differently. So having the mentors, having the experienced advisors to bounce ideas off definitely would have helped me. And not having that until later in my journey definitely slowed things down.
So what are some of the things that you did before you started your business that would be helpful tips to some of the listeners who haven't yet taken their first step on the entrepreneur way?
One of the things that I did that was really helpful was sitting down to figure out for each of the businesses I started what my point of differentiation was going to be, what I was going to bring to the market in each particular business that would somehow be superior to or different from or more acceptable to the market than what the competition was out there. And what I see, the mistake I see from a lot of startups and new business owners is they don't really stop to think through what's going to make them different or what's going to be attractive from the point of view of the customers they're hoping to reach. They just, somebody else is doing this, so I'm going to do this too. Or I've seen other people be successful with this model, so I'm going to copy that. Rather than trying to come up with something that they can improve on or add to or whatnot. So to me, it was always important to be differentiated and to offer something special. Now, sometimes what I thought was a good differentiation wasn't as attractive as I was hoping it would be, but it was always something I tried to do. And I think it's very hard to be successful by just being another one of the same as many of the other the competitors that you're facing are. Without any point of differentiation, it's very hard to be successful and grow.
That's some great advice, that, Matt. Thank you. Can we just talk about the entrepreneurial journey a little bit more? Do you think culture is important from the beginning in a business?
Very much so. I think culture has a lot to do with not only who you bring into the business, but how you conduct the business. So for me, it's very important that we have good customer service, because that's not only one of the key differentiators for our business relative to our competition, but I just also personally think it's important. If you're going to engage with the customer and take their money, you owe it to them to be available and to do your very best to make whatever you're selling as good as it can be. And so that's something that's important to me. It's important that I hire people, when I hire them, that they also have that same sort of innate sense of we're going to try and do the very best job we can, and we're going to be as helpful as we can to our customers. And I think, that's something that gets passed down from the top. If you've got a leader who doesn't care that much about customer service, maybe they're just driven by revenue, and any way that money comes in the door is fine. The people that work for them are going to pick up on that, and so are the customers, and so are the vendors, and it's going to be, something that becomes part of the culture of that business, which may have a negative impact, and over the long run may really hurt the business. So I think culture is very important, and it comes from the top. Whoever is the leader of the business is setting the expectations for everyone else. And if that isn't done well or done right or consistently, I think the business is going to suffer for it.
And how do you maintain the standard that you want in customer service? Have you got some way of making sure that the people who work for you actually maintain that?
Well, we've got a written policy that outlines in broad strokes what the expectations are. But then every time I hear somebody do something that I don't think is as good as we can do, we'll try and stop and review on how we can do that better. And not just with the person that had that particular interaction, but we'll, make everybody in the company here aware of it so that everybody can learn from the experience. And then everybody understands the expectation and is working to either meet or exceed that. So there's written policies, but, obviously a written policy can't address every possible combination of circumstances. So we take the written policy plus the actual experiences and try and, instill in everyone the idea of what we're trying to achieve. And then hopefully they can use that information to, as guidance for whatever particular situation they find themselves in. And it's a process of continuous improvement. But I think if everybody understands the basic idea, you can't go too far wrong. And certainly if you do, well, you know that people will be there to help you correct.
Yeah. Knowing what you know now, is there anything that if you'd known it when you started out would have helped you to shortcut the learning curve?
Well, I think, again, having good experienced mentors probably would have helped me get there a lot faster. And the other thing, too, is, in 16 years, I've jumped around to a lot of different businesses. And on the one hand, that's given me a very broad base of, I know something about selling online. I know something about, small business face-to-face consulting and selling. I know about accounting. I know about a lot of different topics. But had I stayed focused on any one of the businesses that I'd gotten into, I probably would be farther along now than I am today, just because I've had lots of different restarts. So on the one hand, I've got a broad base of experience, and on the other hand, no single one of my businesses has been around all that long. So the one I'm in now is the one where I plan to, this is the long term. I'm not going to let myself get sidetracked or lose focus on this. This is the one that I'm in for the long haul. And so I think this is the one that has the greatest potential for growth because I'm not planning to jump onto something else in the near term, which up until now, I've never really committed to anything long term. It's always been, we'll just see how things go. And, tomorrow is tomorrow.
You remind me of something someone said in one of my other chats I had with somebody recently, and they said, you can either be a mile wide and an inch deep, or an inch wide and a mile deep. And I thought that was a quite interesting way of putting it. And what you're really saying is you're going deep now, aren't you? That's the intention.
Right. We're going to keep focused on a narrow set of skills and grow that rather than jumping around from project to project.
How much does gut feeling influence your decisions in your business?
Well, in our business, obviously we're very numbers focused, and I think there's certainly a place for gut feeling, and gut feeling can help you maybe narrow your range of choices. But I think numbers are really the driver, and so we try and test as much as we can and really look at the data versus having just gut instinct drive decisions, because sometimes the results are counterintuitive to what your gut is telling you. And if you ignore the data or you don't bother to look at it in the first place, you'll probably spend a lot more time than you need to going down the wrong path. So I don't ignore it, but I definitely check it with the data. And if I had to make a decision between the two, I would tend to err on the side of what the data is telling me, as long as I trusted that the data was gathered correctly and there wasn't any problem with that. But assuming that was the case, I think hard numbers are a better indicator in the long run.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to other business owners that may be struggling at this moment in time in business?
I think if they're struggling, it's time to step back and take a look at the root cause. One of the classic examples I hear is, and from a lot of our clients too, is, they'll say, well, I can't grow the business because I can't find any good employees. But then when you talk to them a little bit more, you find out, well, they've typically hired friends or family, or they've hired very quickly, and they've provided no training, and they've provided no expectations for the employees, and they haven't treated the employees maybe as well as they should, or paid them what they should, or, and so you find out, well, maybe the problem isn't that there are no good employees. Maybe the problem is that you're not managing the employee process correctly, you're not hiring correctly, you're not training correctly, and you're not managing correctly. So if a person is having a lot of problems in their business, my first advice is to really try and analyze what's really going on and be objective, be self-aware. If you're pushing the blame off on other people and other things, chances are you're not going to find the root cause of the real problem. But if you can be objective and be open-minded, you're much more likely to not only discover the problem, but be willing to make the changes you need to find a solution.
Life is made of constant change, whether we like it or not. And some people say the only constant in life is change. Matt, how do you try to keep up with change?
I think the key is to kind of embrace it. You can't fight it and you can't ignore it. So the next best idea is to embrace it, understand it, and see if it applies. Now, just to take one example, it seems like there's a new social media channel every 5 minutes, right? I've just barely gotten my hands around Twitter, and then somebody says, well, you need to be on Periscope. so, well, hold on now. I thought that was something that stuck out of a submarine. Are you sure? So, there is constant change. You have to be open to the idea that you at least look at what's being thrown at you and see if it applies, see if it's something that you need to be involved in or not, and then make a decision. If it is, great, embrace it, learn it, and put it into play. If it's not something that applies, or it's not something that's going to work for your particular situation, then at least you know what it was and you can comfortably move on. I've decided Periscope is probably not going to play a big role in our business, but I know what it is now. Yeah. And, when people bring it up, I have a response as opposed to just, saying, none of that social media stuff works. I'm not doing any of it. Well, I don't think that's the right approach either. You have to at least know enough to be able to make an informed decision, because change isn't going to go away. It's always going to be there. Absolutely.
The person that suggested Periscope to you, did they actually tell you why you needed to be on there?
Well, they had success with it in their business.
Yeah.
But, two entirely different kinds of business and two different kinds of generating leads. And for them, it worked great. But, for us, it wouldn't be a good fit. And that's so you can't take one way of doing something and apply it across the board and expect to see the same results. And I don't know if, they were just really enamored of it, or they thought maybe there was a way we could make it work. But, I think every situation is different, and you have to know your business well enough to know what's going to work for it and what won't. And, take the advice and say, thank you, I'll look into it. And then you just move quietly on. And, it wasn't for us.
Yeah. What is your favorite book on entrepreneurialism, business, personal development, leadership, or motivation? And can you tell us why you have chosen it, please?
One of the books that I find myself very often recommending is the E-Myth, or the E-Myth Revisited, I guess officially is the book that I'm thinking of. And it's very much about taking a business and putting processes in place and procedures in place so that everything isn't constantly a reinvention of the wheel, and you're not constantly running around trying to put out fires that wouldn't be happening in the first place if you'd been more organized and more process driven. So it's something that I'm continuously working on in my own business, and it's something that I feel like a lot of small business owners either aren't even aware of or haven't really embraced. And it's a good, simple book that, reinforces the idea that to run a business properly, you really need to have systems in place. Even if you're a small business, even if you think you're so small that, there's no point, you're so small. If you have hopes of growing, and if you have hopes of ever having an evening or a weekend free, it's really something that you need to embrace and work on in your business. So for that reason, like I said, I very often find myself recommending it to our clients and other small business owners as something they should read, and not only read, but put into practice.
Yeah, I've read that and I agree with you on that. Everyone, when you have a busy life, listening to audiobooks is a great way to expand your knowledge in the time when you may be doing other things, such as driving or when you are at the gym. We have a special offer for you, the free audiobook of your choosing. To choose your free audiobook, go to www.freeaudiobookoffer.com. As long as you've not already signed up, then you will qualify. Matt, can we now fast forward to the future and just speculate about a few things? What one thing would you do with your business if you knew that you could not fail?
I would, if I knew I couldn't fail, then I think what I would do is really accelerate the growth. One of the challenges we have is that we want to keep our growth in check to make sure that we can continue to meet the needs of our clients, and we have enough staff on hand, and the staff have had enough time to do their training and so on. But the frustration for me is that we can't grow as fast as I would like. We just have some constraints on being able to staff as quickly as we can. And so if I knew I couldn't fail, I would spend all of my time spreading the message, promoting our business, and talking with small business owners about how we can help them with their bookkeeping, which is a point of pain for nearly every small business. The thing holding me back from that is the need to manage our growth. But if I knew I couldn't fail at growing, then I would be out there evangelizing our service far and wide all day long to as many people as I possibly could.
Mm-hmm. And what skill, if you were excellent at it, would help you the most to double your business?
I think if I was a better online marketer, I think that's the fastest path for us to grow, because we focus exclusively on QuickBooks and QuickBooks Online. There's really no limit to the size of the size that we can achieve. There's over 1 million paid QuickBooks Online users alone. If I was a better online marketer, I would be able to reach those people, let them know about our service, and bring them on board as clients. So that's something that I've set myself as a goal, to not only work on myself, but to find great people who can help me with that skill, because I think that is going to be the key to doubling and tripling and so on our business. That's where the growth is going to come from in the future.
Okay. And in 5 years from now, if a well-known business publication was publishing an article on your business after talking to your customers and suppliers, what would you like it to say?
I would like it to say that not only do we provide a great service in what is ostensibly our offering, which is small business bookkeeping, but that we've also really helped our clients far beyond just doing their books. We've been able to help them in their own businesses, have them grow, have them be more profitable, have them run better. Because to me, being able to help a small business owner is not just them giving me some money and me doing their bookkeeping. It's me helping them grow their business so they can make more money, they can hire more people they can pay better, and overall add value. So I'd like to be known as a business that is a true asset to entrepreneurs far beyond just the basic service that we're offering.
We're now at the part of the show where you share 3 golden nuggets with us. Matt, what is your favourite quote and how have you applied it?
My favorite quote is actually a business slogan, which is the Nike slogan, "Just do it." Mm-hmm. I think that oftentimes I'll have, as we talked about before, some hesitation, some doubt. Can I pull this off? Am I going to be good enough? Am I smart enough? Have I done enough research? And it's easy to hold yourself in check with doubt, with questions, with, well, let me do some more research. I might need some more money, or maybe I'll wait till the beginning of the year. Inevitably, just starting is the best goal, is the best way to find out what's going to work and what isn't. So to me, I have to remind myself, just do it. Just jump in, give it a try, learn as you go. Don't hesitate. Don't overthink it. Certainly do your research. Certainly do some planning. But at a certain point in time, you have to stop planning and thinking and dreaming and just jump in and do it. So I say, I remind myself to just do it. That'll be the fastest way to figure out if it's going to work or not.
And do you have any favorite online resources that you can share with us?
Sure. One of the places I go all the time for all kinds of little piddly things that you wouldn't be able to find anyone else to do the same for the same cost is Fiverr, Fiverr.com. I've had people on Fiverr do a quick editing job for me, do a quick website fixed a bug on a website, do a quick graphic for me. You can find really good people to do those kind of tasks for a very reasonable price. The turnaround is quick, and I don't know any other place I could go and have that done that fast at that cost. So I use Fiverr all the time for all those kind of little things, and I've had one or two maybe not great experiences, but by and large, I'm very happy with the service I've gotten there, and I use it all the time, and I recommend it to other people.
And what is your best advice to other entrepreneurs?
My best advice is that you stick with it. It's never, well, I can't say never, but 99% of the time, it is not a get-rich-quick path. You have to try. You have to be willing to fail. You have to keep going. You have to, overcome lots of challenges and hurdles, some you expect and some that come out of left field that you never expected. And the only way to really be successful is to just stick with it and not give up and keep going, in spite of whatever may come your way. If you do that, inevitably you will be successful. But if you quit anywhere along the way, then that's it, and that's the end of your journey. So my best advice to entrepreneurs, aside, more than being smart, more than being wealthy or having a lot of capital, more than anything else, if you can just be persistent, eventually you'll be successful. And that's a hard thing to do because you don't know when that success is going to come. You just have to keep plugging away. But if you do that, it will come.
Everyone, if you didn't manage to get a note of Matt's favourite resource or his favourite book, you can find the links on Matt's show notes page. Just go to theentrepreneurway.com and search for Matt or Matt Remuzzi in the search box. Matt, is there anything else that you'd like to add about your business?
No, just that, I did put together a special landing page just for your visitors. If they go to capforge.com/EWAY, EWAY, we do have an offer on there for anybody who's a listener to this show and has a small business and either needs bookkeeping to get set up or already has a bookkeeper they may not be completely in love with. I've found that the combination of our offer of low fixed price quotes, great customer service, and CPA level bookkeeping has made us those are kind of the cornerstones to our growth and why we continue to acquire customers faster than any other equivalent bookkeeping firm here in the U.S. So I'd be happy to talk to anybody who potentially needs bookkeeping help or just has questions about entrepreneurship in general. Like I said, I love talking about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship, and I'm happy to chat anytime.
Okay. Matt, it's been an honor having you on the show. You've really shared some great perspectives on being an entrepreneur and given us some great advice and insight. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Neil. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Entrepreneur Way. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Twitter @Neil D. Ball.